Hi folks, welcome to Rusty and Ellie's Jungle. Okay, today's video is going to be about lighting. What lighting to use. We're going to go over LED lighting, fluorescent lighting, high pressure sodium lighting. We're going to talk metal halides, LEDs, what have you. We're going to talk about all sorts of lighting, what you should use, what you shouldn't use, when you should use them. And it's going to be a complete guide. We're going to give you inexpensive methods for lighting for your succulents and tropical plants. We're going to give you the expensive methods. We're going to talk about hydro costs. But the most important tip is right here is don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Oh my God, Rusty, put the eggs back in the fridge.
The most important thing is the lighting is really going to depend on your needs. So if you have a 4-foot shelving, your needs are going to be different than, say, us that has 100 linear feet of indoor shelving that's going to need lighting. Okay, so right now we're going to talk about ways to save money on lighting. Doesn't matter which lighting you use. Here we go. So number one is you want to shift to a 12-hour on, 12-hour off cycle. Okay, 18-hour on, 6-hour off schedule, that's a savings of 30%. So right off the bat, you want a good light, and you can do that. You can reduce it down from 18.6 to 12.12 with a good set of lighting. So right off the bat, we're going to save 30% by doing that. And we have great results at 12 on, 12 off. So that's the first thing we would recommend. Move it down to get better savings because we want brighter lights. We want better growth. So we also want money savings so that we can produce that and buy better lights. So first thing, shift from an 18.6 to a 12.12. Okay, second tip. So we're shifting from a 18.6 to a 12.12. We've got a 30% savings. Next thing, number two, very important. We're going to shift from a 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We're going to change that to a 7 p.m., 7 a.m. Your plants don't know the difference. Okay, so they're gonna turn on at night at 7 p.m. and they're gonna turn off at 7 a.m. We're here in Ontario. That gives me another 50% savings. Our daytime rate is 21.8. At nighttime is 10.8. So 50% savings just by changing the schedule. We've got already 30% by reducing it down to 12 on, 12 off. Number two, shift it to a 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. and that's another 50% savings. So there's two savings right there. Third, we can get another 10% savings if you have a grow room. I don't think you're going to use it in an environment like we have in your living area, but if you have a grow room, which is just shelves up, if you use a mylar backing, mylar around your shelving, not the front, you want to see your plants. Mylar around the back of the shelvings, maybe on the floor of the shelvings, what have you. That's going to reflect the light. There's many good videos that you can see where they've measured it with a power meter and they've got an additional 10, sometimes 12% savings just by doing that, because your light, instead of hitting the wall on the back of your shelving, is actually going to bounce back, hit your plants, and it's usable light. You lose it, it dissipates into the wall. If it can reflect off mylar, it'll come back. Now, where do you buy your mylar? I would think that the cheapest method of buying it is just go to your basic Home Depot, Lowe's, what have you, and buy an emergency blanket. They're made of mylar. They're $6.99 for a 12-foot blanket, and just use that as your reflective medium. That's another 10% savings. So we've got a 30% savings, a 50% savings, and another 10% savings. So we're going in the right direction. Okay, your fourth savings would be, okay, so these are LEDs right here, and a typical light like this is going to produce approximately 1,000 U-moles per meter per second, probably about here. It's going to drop down to about 600 here, maybe 300 here, the distance away from your plant, my hand being your plant. And you're probably down to 250 here. So you would need more lights. Your energy is being wasted the further you keep your plants away from the light. Now, too close, they're going to burn. But reducing from a, something up here where you have a couple feet down to say 8 inches, the difference, you're from 1,000, you're probably 800. You still got a good par reading here, opposed to keep your, 3 feet away. So I think it's quite important that we lower our shelving, keep them closer to the plants, make sure we're not burning anything. Remember, we're only on a 12-hour cycle here. So keep the lights closer to the plants, because you're losing. The further you get away from any light, doesn't matter what it is, the most expensive light in the world, you get that par meter, you're going to move it away from the light. Your plant is getting less light, and it's quite dramatic. So the closer you want this to give out 1,000, got to get your plants pretty close. Of course, you've got to watch it to make sure they don't burn. We don't want everyone burning their plants. Rusty, my plants are burnt. So we don't want that. So watch them. I would say probably 8 inches, 9 inches, but not 2 feet, 3 feet. That's not gonna. You're wasting energy, and you're not going to get results. Okay, so that's number 4. Keep the plants closer to your lights. Doesn't matter which type of lights, even if it's fluorescent, what have you. Okay, 5. More savings here. For number 1, T12, don't use it. Very inefficient, not a good light. The T8, again, I'm not recommending them at all. So they're out the window. They're not efficient. There's much better. If you're going to use a fluorescent lighting, minimum is a T5. Okay? And as you transition from, say, a T5 to LED, you're going to have a 70% savings. So this is good. 70% savings in energy, in money. Okay, so let's talk about this right here. We have a T5 high output. So a T5 might give you maybe 38 watts. A T5 high output, 50 watts, some 54 watts. So it'll be a much brighter light. There is also a T5 ultra high output, but good luck in finding the bulbs, and good luck in finding them. So, but you can find this. We found this at a Home Depot. We found the unit itself that would carry 2 bulbs. It was a 4-foot unit. I believe they were $49 for the unit. And these bulbs you can buy on Amazon. They're 65K grow lights, and they're about $6 each. So you could do a 4-foot shelf with 2 lights for quite inexpensively. Now I know there's a lot of LED people out there. Everyone likes LEDs. And one of their main factors in LED is they say that the fluorescent lights, they give off too much heat. For number 1, there's the cost savings. Not the cost in purchasing. LEDs are more expensive. These are quite inexpensive to buy. The cost in running them. But one of the LED's true claim to fame is they give off less heat. Okay, so I'm just going to touch on that topic because I've never heard anyone else touch on this topic before. Yes, you have an LED and you can touch them when they're running. You can't touch this when it's on and it's been on for 10 minutes. It's going to burn you. There's a ballast inside. That's hot. And the lights are burning hot. So these give off heat. But my question is why is that a bad thing? When we turn on our lights at 7 p.m., our room typically, everyone's house is say 70 degrees. The room will come up to 80 degrees. Because all the lights are on. So, and that would be your ideal temperature for these tropical plants and these succulents, would be an 80 degree, maybe even more, 82, 85. That would be the temperature. You wouldn't want to keep your room at 70 day in, day out. Plants do like nighttime cool and daytime warmer. It's their cycle. And for us, it would be daytime, nighttime. We're switching it, but they don't know that. Ideally, if you had an LED light, I would think you would want to put a heater in your room to bring it up to 80 degrees. So if you're running a heater that's 1,500 watts, you might as well think about using a T5. They're a T5 high output. They're very good bulbs, and the heat, although a negative in a room, if this is a gymnasium and I would need air conditioning, yes, that could be a negative. But in a grow room that you're in a house where your house is typically 70 degrees, that's actually, to me, is a big bonus. Hey, geez, I don't need a heater. my lights will actually, when I turn it on, the plants will wake up, the room increases to 80 degrees. Bonus. I don't have any heaters with electrical cables that could catch a fire around. My lights are doing it for me. So there's a bonus for using a T5 high output. Number one is the cost is they're very inexpensive. Number two, this is putting out 5,000 lumens per bulb. 2 bulbs in a unit is 10,000 lumens, and we put 4 on a shelf. So we're getting 20,000 lumens per shelf. Now, yes, there's the people out there that are a little more advanced that will say lumens has nothing to do with it. So, and you're right. Let's touch on that a little bit. Humans can see lumens. We can see lux. Okay, we can see the wide spectrum from red to blue, the full spectrum. The sunlight provides full spectrum. Plants don't necessarily use what's in between, which would be the yellow-green area. Now, there's an argument, and you can watch some videos out there, and there's some literature that says the plants actually do like green light. That would mean a full spectrum would be better. When you see these LEDs, they have a full red spectrum, they have nothing in between, and they have a blue spectrum over here. So they're giving what, you know, some people say is exactly what plants need, but they don't have what's in between. Okay, so when you're talking the reading of the red and the blue, and it's measured with a par meter, giving you a par value. So a full spectrum light, say we go and buy a light from a garage LED light from Home Depot, and it's just your basic full spectrum light, it's not a grow light, what have you. And it's going to say that it's going to give you 2,000 lumens. So of that, we know the middle section, it'll be giving you that light, but the plants won't be able to use it. So we'll know that the maximum would be 2,000 lumens, but your plants won't, all of those 2,000 lumens won't reach your plant, number one, because of that middle section. A full spectrum is giving you the red, the yellow, the green, and the blue. Plants get all that, but they can only use for photosynthesis the blue and the red. So the question that you would ask is, all right, would a regular LED light like this, or would a Home Depot shop light work for your plants? And the answer is yes, of course it will. You don't need to buy these expensive lights. That will work. There is that loss. You're putting out so many watts. You are losing that little bit in the center, but the cost, if your budget is $20, yes, buy one of those lights. They will work. But remember, if it's only 1,000 lumens or 800 lumens, that is a factor. It's not going to be better for your plants because it'll be worse because they're missing that middle section. So at least try and buy something with a lot of lumens. And remember, this is a 5,000 lumen bulb. Okay, so remember that when you're going out, just don't buy. You see people with, if the light, you can't look at it, if it's blinding you, then I would say yes, buy that. That will work as a grow light. The myth is that you only need a grow light. That is incorrect. Any light will work, but you got to make sure it's bright because if not, the plant won't get enough light. But can you buy that? Yes. Are grow lights better? Of course. They're missing that middle section. But if you don't have the budget, just a regular LED light will work. And I would definitely recommend, if you do that, keep it very close to the plants. And then any light that is giving off will be able to use by the plants. If we put a shop light this high above your plants, it's not going to work. You're going to buy a cheap light, fine, put it very close to your plants. So the next thing we're going to quickly talk about, and I'm going to show you on this, is the color. Color. 65K, what does that mean? Well, the K stands for Kelvin, and this is a temperature. And you will notice on, I'm going to see if I have a bulb box here. And I'm going to try and show you every bulb box, every light box is going to have a color chart. And it's going to start off at a dark yellow and it's going to go to a blue. I'm hoping you can actually see that there. And that just tells you the color of the light. So remember we talked about the spectrum, plants like red, plants like blue. Well, this is pushing it over. When it's 65K, that's at the blue side. If you read your box and your box says 25K, it's down at the red spectrum. Something in the middle is about 4,000K. So what light would you want? Well, a nice thing about these T5 high output bulbs is in your fixture, you have two bulbs. I could put a 65K bulb in one, and I could put a 25K bulb in the other. Now I'm still getting 5,000 lumens per piece. If I have an LED system and I just want the red lights to switch it on, you know, or the flowering or the veg, if I switch from red to blue, I'm only getting 50% of my wattage. If I switch, no, it needs to be just red, I'm switching. When the T5 high output, one day I could say, no, we're going to put both of them at 25 K Kelvin, which is closer to the red spectrum. And then, hey, that's not good. Let's change it back to 65K or 45K. The most important thing, when we said don't put all your eggs in one basket, and here's the thing, don't go out and commit to one type of light, because, and this is very important, these plants, some of them are very, very dramatic. You put them under one light and they're just not happy. You move them over, like say it's under this, it's just not happy. You move it over to an LED light and suddenly it becomes happier. You move it over to a red spectrum light, it's happy. You just take it away from everything and you put it in the window, it's happy. So don't commit to one type of light. We've got LEDs, we've got red LEDs, we've got full spectrum LEDs, we've got, you know, the basic shop light LEDs. We've got grow bulbs like this. These are actually very powerful LED. They've got cobs in them. This is high pressure sodium. We've got T4, T5 high output bulbs. We've got a range of bulbs. We've tried all sorts of different bulbs. And believe it or not, there is no right answer, because there are certain plants that do well under certain lighting and there's certain plants that do well in other lighting. So don't commit. We went out and we decked it out and we're good to go, and all of a sudden you got 5 or 6 plants that aren't happy in there and you've got nowhere to put them. So one thing I would definitely say to everyone is at least have one shelf with a T5 high output with a 65K bulb, because of all of our shelving, it seems to be the go-to, the love shelf, the shelf that we're never pulling stuff out of that shelf to put to another shelf. We will note that the red spectrum light, which we do have the big units, the LED units with the fans on the top, full spectrum red, they're great for stressing out your succulents. They give lots of color, but I have to think, why are they stressing? They're supposed to be the perfect lights. They've got red and blue, but they're supposed to be the perfect lights for the plants. Why would my succulent be stressing out under a red light, under one of these red units? Well, it's obviously it's not getting something it needs. So, and geez, they must be they're very high powered, but we've got them, you know, probably 2 feet away. We're not pounding them with light, but they just, you know, they bring out the beautiful colors. It's not like they suffer, but I would just ask that question is, why would they be stressed under a red light? You're never going to get anything stressed under these lights, but you will get great color. One thing you can do is, when you have this set up and you've got them in your ballast, you've got 2 lights, you could think about just getting one of these if you want some auxiliary lighting that you can unscrew and put on. And this is a nice white full spectrum light, and this would be a red and blue LED light. You can't see them, but when they turn on, they're red and blue. And you can just screw them up on your shelving just to give some supplementary lighting. If you think, that back corner's not getting enough, or yeah, these plants are good, but these ones need more light. So you can do that with a light like this. You can add to your system, your setup, to give the plants the lighting requirement that they need. Okay, so how do I know if my lights are working? We can all get a light and do a quick video on it and say, hey, these lights are great. But the most important test is when you look at your plants, when you look at your succulents, and you want to take a look at the nice compact growth. That they're not leggy, they're not reaching to your lights. That would mean that your lights aren't giving enough light and your plants are stretching out to the lights, opposed to very compact, bushy plants. And a blue light spectrum will keep your growth compact, bigger, succulents layered quite closely together. So I'm gonna cut this, and I'm gonna go and show you some examples of legginess where plants don't have the right light, and I'm gonna go and show you some examples of what to look for and say, hey, these lights must be working. My plants are healthy and they're compact. That's the key. That's how you're gonna tell if you've got the right lights. And if you have just no growth or your plant is stagnant, again, you could say to yourself, hey, okay, it's been there for a few months. It really isn't doing that much. This could be a factor. But again, when you use these, or when you bring that temperature up in their grow time, 7 to 7, then the plants will wake up. They should have growth in that time. Okay, so I'm here in one of the grow rooms. I'm just going to show you the compact growth that you're looking for. So on a plant, you see the compact growth. You see the way it's compact. It's not leggy. So that's kind of what you're looking for. You know, here'd be another example. You can see there's no spacing. There's no leggy. It's just a compact, huge succulent. We've got another one here, a good example of they're just jammed in together. That's the growth that you're looking for. Let's look at this one here. Really compact growth. So that's what we're looking for. There's another massive succulent, and you can just see the growth. So if you've got that, then you know your lights are working. Okay, I'm gonna take it to another room and show you some versions of non-compactness in 2 seconds. Another one of our grow rooms. And let's take a look. Okay, so here's a perfect example right here. This plant is not under a grow light. As you can see, it's kind of just hanging off the shelf. We've got all these guys growing nicely in there. He's not. So let's take a look and see the spacing in between. We can see this is what we call legginess. So he's not getting enough light, and we just have nowhere to put him because he needs to be hanging. So that's a perfect example of legginess. If you see that, here's another example right here. See the spacing between the petals? You can see, so that plant is not getting enough light for its needs. Okay, so another thing that I'd like to touch on is the red, blue lights. And we do have them, and we do use them. But a negative, which you don't, again, hear about, but I would caution you about this and really think about this, is it's very hard to maintain your plants when it's hard to look at them. When you look at your plants, you're going to look at your shelving, and we're meticulous. We like to go over and, you look for bugs, you look for a plant that's not doing well. Oh, it needs to be watered. But when you have the red and blue, for number one, it hurts my eyes. I look at them and like, oh, everything looks red, and you're not sure what it is. When you have a full spectrum light, or this is actually a 65K light, a white light, call it, you can actually see your plants. You can actually take better care, I believe, of your plants with those lights, because you're always wandering in, taking a look. Oh, how's this? Oh, that. Boom, finding stuff. Oh, pulling leaves off. This one's not happy here. Let's move it over to another light section. With the red lights, it's just very hard to look at the shelvings, and I don't think you want your room. We have a ton of plants around our house, which we're just using full spectrum. We use a lot of these big, heavy. These are about 35 watts, but they put out a tremendous amount, a great par rating on them. But the last thing we do is want our house looking like a disco, where we're mood red and red sections, and the plants they almost look sick under those lights. So I would say that to me is a negative, where I would say, hey, keep a full spectrum. You can still get LEDs. There's some great LEDs out there. You look at, say, a Mars Hydro or what have you. You can see that they're turning to these lights that you can actually, they're a white light. They're giving you the full spectrum, but they're not that purple stuff you see off Amazon. Everyone gets these wand things where you've got 3 wands, all up like this on your plant like that, and they're red. think about a regular light, bright light, opposed to the LED because of that factor. Your plants are hard to maintain, hard to visually maintain with the purple colors, and it hurts your eyes when you look at them. Okay, so in summation, we are going to move it from an 18-hour cycle to a 12-hour cycle, number one. Number two, we are going to transition from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. 50% savings right in that, 30% savings in the one right before. Okay, we're going to put a mylar backing on our shelving, another 10% savings right there. Okay, we're going to transition from these, although I love them, and you're going to get some, to a full spectrum, something that, not a red purple one that you can see. We're gonna transition to LED. We're gonna save another 70%. We're gonna have some of these to get some room temperature and get those plants warm in their grow time. T5 high output, I love them, use them. We're gonna take a look at moving our lights closer to our plants to save the power. They're putting out a tremendous amount, but it dissipates very, very, very quickly. From this distance to this distance, it's going to be more than half of your usable light is going to be lost in that distance. So we're going to go there, but we are going to, caveat, we are going to watch our plants. We don't want them to burn. Don't come back, Rusty, my plants burn. I put them like this, I put them right there, and it was burnt. Because these lights, they're very powerful. All lights are very powerful. These ones, because they put off so much heat, that you don't want your plants there just because they'll bake. Okay? The LEDs, you can hold them like this. And when they're on, this you can. It's so hot. So you put your plant right there, and yeah, it's going to bake just based on the heat. It's probably going to be 95, 98 degrees here, which will bake your plants. This I will be able to touch, but it puts out so much power that will burn your plants. Your plant will get too much light. Okay? If we want compact growth, we're going to use a 65K bulb. 65K. That's right at one end of the spectrum, but it's going to give you a nice compact growth. You can get some 45K and 25K down to the red spectrum. That's fine. You can change up bulbs. You can get different lightings. Shake it up. Don't commit to one type of lighting. Try it all. Have different sections. Have safe zones. Watch your plants. If you see them struggling, move them to a different section. Don't just, well, it won't grow. I'm having trouble with it. Well, it probably doesn't like that lighting situation, doesn't like that area, doesn't like the temperature, what have you. If you have different options, if you've gone out, okay, I'm going to buy this T5 high output for this shelving. This shelving is going to be a full spectrum LED shelving. We're going to have a couple shelving with these lights here. These are more of a cop light. This one's an LED light. We're going to shake things up. You can put those little LED snake things that people buy with the fluorescent light. You can buy one of them, shake it up, have different sections, watch your plants, and move them around. And you'll be amazed at certain plants. You'll think, oh, it was doing okay. And you move it to another one. You're like, holy smokes. Or the same plant, one is under one of these and one's under an LED, the same plant. And you come back and this one's like, arr! And you come back to this. So, then you can say, okay, well, that type of plant, because we do have an example would be Echeveria Frydek, or Fast Freddy, as we call them.
They like to be baked.
Yeah, we put them under a red. We put them under one of those big fan reds. We've got a big pot, like a big. Well, actually, the light is this high. The pot is right here, and they're under a high powered red LED, one of those cob, and they just love it. We had them under the 65K, and they grew, but they weren't growing. They were living,
Same with outside.
Yeah. So there's and I would have never expected that. I would have thought that one would have been one of these. So it will surprise you. So please at least try that, because there's no lights that we've purchased that there's nothing that's happy there. There's always a plant, one of those plants that's, the leaves are burning, everything like that. Oh, that's fine. We'll move it to one of the shop LED lights that we bought, which are they're very low powered, but it's getting light. There's not much heat on those, but it's getting light and it's happy. It's just a plant that was probably under foliage. It's in the forest where you've got a big tree, and it's one of those plants that needs very, very bright indirect light, which means, okay, well, there's a sun, but it's very bright outside, but there's no actual direct sunlight. So that plant won't be happy under probably a high-powered grow light. Okay, so just buy a shop light, and you buy a regular shop light for $20, buy 2 or 3 of them, or you can even see them. We bought some 4-foot sections for, I think they were $8.99, and they were 32 Kelvin, which is right in the middle. Remember, 65 is the blue, say 25 is the red, so they're right in the middle. So they're a warm light, we will call it, and it doesn't give off too many lumens, but there are certain plants that just love it in there. Our Sansevieras love it in there. We've got plants. Here's another thing. This is actually kind of important. When we have a plant that's not doing well, you look at it, it's not healthy, a couple leaves or whatever. We take it out of a high pressure light and we put it in a low light, one of these shop back, one of these basics. So it's bright in there, but it's not high pressure. And this is our recuperation. And they do. They're not a lot of light on them. They can slowly recuperate. Once they get better, then we can take them out and put them under, one of our better grow lights. So anyway, this was we're just kind of talking in this video. We're not getting too in depth in the lighting, but and we will do a follow-up video. I'm not sure when, and we'll get a little more in depth in the lighting. But hopefully, we've given you some ideas of what to use, why we use them, and if you have any questions, we're going to be really good. We're going to try and get back to everyone that writes a question. We will answer it because everyone's needs are different, and every plant needs are different, and everyone's house is different. Everyone's setup is different. Everyone's climate is different. We're in Ontario, Canada. It's cold outside right now. Baby, it's cold outside.
That song is totally stuck in my head too.
Okay, so cut. Okay, so anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up right now. I'm gonna say thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. Send us some pictures of your setups. I'd like to see them, and write your questions down. We'll try and answer them. Okay, so thanks for watching. Please subscribe to us. We're gonna do a lot more educational videos. We do have 1,000 plants. We have a lot of knowledge. We've done this a long time, maybe 10 years of experience here. So we've done the right way. We've done the wrong way. We've learned from our mistakes. We're just trying to give you information from what we've learned. So we hopefully enjoy it. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Cheers. We'll be happy and just buy a shop vac. A shop vac.
Cleaning on the
Yeah, okay, so just buy a shop vac and just suck the plants into the... Okay.
Maybe you should drink when you do videos.
Ontario, Canada, it's cold outside right now. Baby, it's cold outside.
That song is totally stuck in my head too.
Okay, hey folks, welcome to Rusty and Nellie's Jungle. Today's video, last video was about the succulents, stressing out the succulents. Oh, I think something's wrong with the camera here. All right, so am I even in the screen?
No, it's better that way.
We can fix it. Oh my gosh, look at the jugs on her. Cut. Hi, I'm Nellie.
No, you're not. You're Rusty. Rusty.
Darn. Cut.
It's like up at the gum. You moved it.
Okay.
Did it go?
Wow.
Wow.
Okay, we ready?
Do anything
did I do? The fuck are
They do, it's professional people do this. Okay.